Okay, so one of the great new features we have in the Acquia network now is what we call site health monitoring. This feature is currently in a private beta, but when your site becomes eligible for this feature, you'll get an email and you'll also see a advertisement right here talking about how your site's available to go into this beta. What Uptime Monitoring does is just basically make sure your site is actually up. We require you to install the Acquia connector module because via the Acquia connector module, we expose a really lightweight URL on your website that is protected, only we can hit it. And we make sure that your site is basically responding to HTTP requests, can connect to the database, is not in maintenance mode, and has any other required aspects running. If it requires memcache to bootstrap, then we'll know if memcache is actually running or not. We also then do more detailed of your scan of your website, where we load the front page and slash users, some other locations to make sure your site's responding. But we don't do those ones very often. The main thing we hit is we hit what we call our canary URL every single minute to make sure your site's responding. And if the canary URL has any problems, then we'll hit the other URLs to do a more detailed scan on your website. Now, because we're not doing something like Pingdom where they scan one URL, now granted these other services like Pingdom, you can configure them to do more, but we decided really, do people want to have to configure their monitor to do more, or they just want to turn it on? So what we do is, like I said, we just allow you to turn it on, and we're going to do that monitoring for you. Now if your canary scan throws an error, we then proceed to do what we call a full scan. We put in the escalated queue, and we hit a number of URLs on your website to determine if your site's actually up. If every page on your site that we check loads fine, we're just going to say it was a glitch in the matrix and carry on our way. But if a couple of the pages throw errors, then we know that your site has something going on, and we actually flag it as impaired, and we'll alert you that your site is impaired. If every URL on your site is throwing a 500, your site's down. We didn't have to wait a number of minutes to know, okay, is the site down? Long enough for us to say it's really down. We loaded 4 or 5 URLs on your website, and all of them threw errors. We know your site's down, and we'll message you thusly. This allows us to get away with scanning your site more often and alerting you sooner, and actually throw fewer false positives than other services do. So let's enable this feature right now. To do that, I go up to Settings, which you'll have if you're part of this beta, and I simply check off that I want to monitor this website. Now, another new feature that we have is an email notification system. Very soon we'll have SMS available as well. I can turn this on, and I'm going to put in my own email address here so I can get any emails for anything that we do. Spell my email address correctly. And what we'll do is we'll alert you for critical issues with site health, with insight, and with cloud task failures. Now, cloud task failure that might alert you about is maybe, say, every night you've set up a cron job that copies everything back on your from your prod to your staging environment, runs your scrub scripts, and if that fails, we'll let you know. Or if you're deploying code and the code deploy fails, we'll let you know. All right. So what I'm going to do is save these changes. It will then flag this site in both our Uptime service and in our messaging service that this site is part of those systems now. And we don't have any data to display here yet, but once the Uptime service starts running some monitoring this website, gets it through the queues and checks it out, we'll actually get a graph here. I'm going to show you a graph off of one of our other websites. This is actually a graph from Insight. And we can see here Insight's response time graph that we have going on. You can see that the average response time is 3.4 seconds, and we can see 2 errors that have occurred on this website here as well. Now, both of these were just configuration errors on the monitoring service where we were playing around with some settings and creating some errors. But some of the errors you can get are your DNS failed to resolve, and we'll say that your website did not load because your DNS didn't resolve, so you know what to do. We'll say we just simply couldn't reach your servers, and that could just be the internet not routing traffic. That could actually be an actual server outage, and that one you obviously would maybe want to double check yourself. If you can reach it and we can't reach it, then we just know the internet is being the internet today. Other things are some sites or some pages are throwing 500s, others are not. Another one could be that every single page on your site is throwing a 500, and you'll see those as actually even different colors of alert, and you'll see different messaging on those as well. Additionally, if there are any errors that occur in your website, we will flag those errors in our notification system, and you would see any of the site errors in the drop down. In addition, now that I've signed us up for the email alerting service, I'm going to simulate an alert by going to performance. I'm going to ignore the page caching alert, which we consider to be critical because, for example, if you're using Varnish and you turn off page caching, you're not using Varnish anymore. And then I'm going to restore the page caching alert. And what we'll find is that within about 30 seconds, SMTP God's willing, I will get an email about this. All right, so there it is. This is the email I got saying that an alert has been ignored on Acquia Cloud demo. The severity is emergent, the site's insight, and the message is page caching is disabled for your website. Now this of course means that this website is no longer doing any caching, and that could be a problem. We also have a specific URL these alerts come from, so that if you want to have set up any whitelisting rules, you can do so as well. This alert will also show up here in the notifications section on Acquia Insight. That way, if anybody else happens to be in the UI while this goes on, they can actually see that happen in real time. Thank you for watching this demo. If you're interested in some of the other things we have going on in the Acquia Networking Cloud, check out our blogs on acquia.com or ask anyone at the booth.